eBay is likely one of the easiest and most efficient ways to reach a large population as well as quickly and very specifically grow your Pokemon card collection. Long story short, there's a lot of things that go up for sale, and you can usually find them at a pretty good deal depending on if and how you choose to go about winning your auctions. So, the real question is, how do you go about maximizing the efficiency with which you bid on auctions on eBay for Pokemon trading cards? Well, in today's video, I'll give you my two-part strategy on how I go about that in hopes that you can take it and apply it to building your collection as well. But first, roll that intro. Hey Gengar Gang, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another video. In today's video, friends, we discuss using eBay auctions to build your Pokemon card collection, and more importantly, how you can go about using eBay in the most efficient way possible to effectively and efficiently win auctions. So, what does this basically mean? As a buyer, how do you go about finding the best stuff on eBay? How do you go about winning the best stuff at the cheapest price? And how do you go about making sure that you are buying legitimate and good stuff all at the same time? If you can accomplish those three things more or less, you are a successful buyer on eBay. More importantly, that success can lend itself to helping you build a stronger and more complete Pokemon card collection, and can also help you to find, identify, and win very, very specific rarities, such as, you know, these random one-off items that you don't really see go up for auction. So, if you follow these strategies, I can't guarantee that they'll always work, but I do think there is a strong probability that you will begin to see over time an increased efficiency in your own wins, what you win, and the price you're paying for those items. So, without further ado, let's get into discussing how to go about doing and accomplishing these effective eBay auction wins. First things first, it all starts with the searches. So first thing is the expansive searches that you need to run on eBay. So what does that basically mean? Expansive searches is what I've come to consider just using the right combination of keywords, key phrases, key terms, right frequency of searching this stuff, and the right filters that you apply on search results in order to very quickly narrow down the population that you're working with. The truth of the matter is that eBay has a ton of stuff on it, and a lot of stuff is going to be Pokemon stuff, especially in a post-2020 world where there's a very, very high amount of visibility on the trading card hobby. As a result, it's not uncommon to get a lot of hodgepodge mix-mash stuff in there that really just creates a lot of noise. The problem with this noise is that you could be scrolling on eBay for months and you probably wouldn't find anything of significant value. However, using filters and the right key terms can help narrow down the population so you really get to the gems and the hidden items on eBay that can help you win better and be better at searching this stuff out. So, what are the criteria that you need to feed? Well, the first thing is you need to consider what you're looking up. For me, I'm a EX collector, so for me, a lot of my phrases or search terms very frequently include EX. Now, in and of itself, that's a problem. And the reason that's a problem is because during the XY era, all of those Pokemon were also EX Pokemon. Now, technically they're different, but the people who list on eBay won't really recognize that. So sometimes it comes down to searching for the literal actual sets that I'm hunting down. So some random generic advice I can offer, definitely consider narrowing things down to the set, the Pokemon, or the specific item that you are looking for. Many times the name of the item can be found on other websites like Wikipedia or the Pokemon Center. So if you're looking for an Elite Trainer box, use that term. Additionally, you might want to consider using the acronym as well. So ETB is a very frequent substitute for Elite Trainer Box. You might also want to consider running both search terms. And for older items like these EX era tins, you might also just have to consider using EX era tins, Pokemon EX, or Pokemon EX tin. Again, You want to keep the search criteria small enough that it doesn't create some overabundance of search results for you to go through, yet at the same time, you probably want to be in a situation where it's specific enough. And one of the best ways to do this is just practice. You can go on eBay literally anytime you want, start typing things in and see what types of results you get. And then once you kind of learn how the keywords work and more importantly, how sellers tag their items, whether it be through the title or description, you then stand a better chance at sort of optimizing the specifics of how you go about searching the stuff. When it comes to filters, I immediately always filter for auctions. What I find is buy it now prices are artificially higher, and most folks will not be open to negotiating at the same price level that an auction would sell for. So what I find is, depending on the case, an auction may end anywhere between 60 to 90% of what the buy it now price usually is, and the seller may only be willing to give, a 7.5% discount, maybe 10%. So in most cases, waiting for an auction is the cheaper approach as opposed to buying it now. However, occasionally you do find some folks who want to get rid of an item. The other thing to bear in mind is that some sellers will increase their prices, like Troll and Toad will increase their prices on eBay to offset for the cost of fees. So a good way of avoiding the situation altogether is simply using their website as opposed to using eBay. However, there is the trick where not everybody is Troll and Toad or, one of these other higher end collectors or stores that has its own independent store as well. So 9 times out of 10, you won't be able to find a private website that you can use to avoid paying an extra 10% to offset eBay's fees. Now, when it comes to expansive searches, there are some real benefits that you get. When it comes to the benefits, I usually try to think about it in 2 parts, modern versus vintage. For vintage, you really get more options and more opportunities for rare items. Because again, if you type in something like Pokemon EX or Pokemon EX Blister, you might end up seeing this 3-pack blister right here. Now these are kind of common on eBay, but overall they are a very rare item. And you can see the pack selection here is great. You get 2 EX Dragon Frontiers, 1 EX Deoxys, and this particular item doesn't necessarily have the best condition possible, but I do think it would hold its own in a collection. And if you wanted to open it up, that wouldn't be crazy either. The funny part of all is that something like this doesn't show up if you type in Pokemon Blister or Pokemon Booster. The only way you get this in the very high end of your search results is if you apply the filters the way I had mentioned. So I typed in Pokemon EX Blister, and then I filtered immediately for auction, and then I scroll down, and perhaps on the 3rd or 4th scroll on my phone, I found this item. So it's interesting because you definitely have the opportunity to make these little tweaks. However, if I just type in Pokemon Booster, I get inundated with search results from literally every modern Pokemon set, and this thing, the only way that I would ever be able to find it is if I applied several different filters. So again, you can see how the keywords both save you time as well as save you effort of searching through search results, because literally adding in the term EX made all of the difference. So that's a very clear example of how this strategy can help you better find and identify vintage opportunities that you can, purchase this stuff up. And these are really rare items. It shouldn't be understated how in demand some of this stuff is, especially over the past few years, because people realize how rare they are. And so this is a great opportunity, had you found it on eBay, to buy this. And by the way, I didn't win this. I wasn't really that interested because I have a few of these, but someone obviously did, right? So what's good is that you were able to use the search terms, find it any way that you did. And then, as a result of that, you were able to win this very rare item. So just an example of how using good search terms and good searching strategies can help you identify some really cool and unique opportunities for your Pokemon card collection to grow. For modern, I look at it a little bit differently. The thing with modern is that, yeah, eBay is practically inundated, but there are some opportunities. If you use a good set of search criteria, such as Evolving Skies booster box, and then filter on auction, you're probably going to get, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40 results running within the next, two days. And then if you filter for ending soonest, I bet you'll find many that are ending today. So that gives you an interesting opportunity, because if you had only followed one of these auctions, you'd be limited to whatever price that one sold for, and who's paying attention to that one auction. However, if you follow 5 or 10 of these, it gives you 5 or 10 opportunities to minimize the amount of money that you're going to pay. Put it this way, of the auctions you're seeing on screen right now, 1 is mathematically the lowest, meaning 1 is the cheapest option available. So if you follow 10 auctions, you have 10 opportunities, and every time you can see if you're going to win for a lower price than what the last one sold for. So it creates extra opportunity for you to pay cheaper prices, which again is a good thing. Sometimes being effective when it comes to being a buyer on eBay isn't always about minimizing price, as in the case with vintage items, where sometimes it's about finding the rare stuff. But for modern, this stuff is dime a dozen, as many of us know, and so as a result, it makes sense that we want to buy the stuff as cheap as possible, especially given the current market trend of booster boxes sitting somewhere above $100, but not quite at MSRP when it comes to the overall pricing. Now, the second part of the strategy, and perhaps a equal complement to the first, is strategic bidding. When it comes to strategic bidding, all that's being said or asked of you is to make sure that you are keeping prices as low as possible for as long as possible. You are taking opportunities when they arise. You are leveraging and managing the risks associated with high volume transactions versus low volume transactions. And basically, you're trying to win things for as cheap as possible while being as safe as possible on eBay. So, a couple of random tidbits. The first is you need to consider the seller. Here's the truth of the matter. Frequently, feedback becomes a very big component of your opportunities on eBay. Meaning, there are some sellers out there with very small amounts of feedback, and typically that is indicative that either A, they don't sell a lot, or B, they don't exist long enough to have an extensive feedback history. Either way, what typically happens is people view those types of sellers as risky because they don't have the necessary experience to ship, package, and sell things in an efficient and accurate manner. As a result, less people are usually willing to purchase from these types of individuals. But this creates an interesting opportunity, and it all depends on how you view and consider things. eBay's buyer protection program completely guarantees that if you don't get something in the way, shape, and form that it is described on the platform, you get your money back. So in theory, you can buy from these lower feedback sellers because, let's be real here, everyone starts somewhere, and, you don't start eBay with 1,000 feedback. So the reality of the situation is you're just genuinely giving people a chance to earn positive feedback. Some people will genuinely just be crappy about it, unfortunately, and in situations like that, you will need to use the buyer protection program in order to instigate a case and then get your money back. Then there's the argument that why should you go through all this? You could pay a slight premium for a more experienced seller, but at least you don't have to go through all the hoopla. So that is why I tell you to consider. Depending on the type of person you are, you may find it more attractive to use eBay buyer protection when needed, and other people would like to avoid the situation altogether. This is a very standard risk management approach, and so the argument is you need to consider the seller, because depending on what type of risk associated with buying stuff from low feedback sellers you are willing to accept, there are more opportunities out there for you. And again, because there are less people bidding on these auctions because the seller is a nobody, there is an opportunity there for you to win cards at discount prices with usually no issue. So the good news is that that is one thing for you to consider. Conversely, if you're going to buy from Probstein or one of these other large sellers on eBay, expect a lot of attention to be paid on their auctions, meaning a lot more people vying for the same item. Random point number 2 is try to avoid starting bidding wars. Bidding wars effectively start when you try to outbid someone, they outbid you, and then magically things start escalating from there. It becomes a little bit of a pissing contest, and it can be to the detriment of the buyers, because at the end of the day, the seller and eBay are the two parties making more money. So you want to bear in mind that bidding wars start when you try to outbid folks, and it's probably best to keep bidding wars minimized for the amount of time that they run. Meaning, if you just saw an auction start, meaning it has 7 or 10 days left, you probably want to leave it until the last, give or take 10 minutes of an auction. My golden rule is I won't even interact with any auction I have seen until about 2 minutes out. And the reason is because, much like any basketball game, the only thing that really counts is the last 2 minutes when the score is 77-77 and the Bucks blow it. But anyways, that's just me and my own personal stuff. The truth of the matter is that those last 2 minutes are usually when the final price is set or usually approached. And so at that point, you usually have individuals who've already inserted their highest bid possible, and then you can make a fair and accurate decision. If this is setting a new record price, you might not want to bid. If it's below the last sold, you might want to bid up to the last sold to see what happens. Most times, you might get away with something special, and then occasionally, you'll just be outbid. But at least you're not starting that whole process of bidding, 3 days out, only to be outbid, only to bid again, only to bid again, and before you know it, the price has very quickly escalated to a point where it's no longer in your price range. My third item, and perhaps related to the idea of don't starting a bidding war, is to watch out for shill bidding. So shill bidding is something I've covered extensively on the channel. I'd recommend checking out the video in the card right now if you are interested in learning more about it. It features everyone's favorite solar panel technician, Alina Lopez. What's good about shill bidding is that it can be easy to spot. It can also be kind of difficult, but you can usually tell when you're being shill bid, mainly because of the way that the eBay app and the eBay website work. Basically, every time you place a bid, it magically gets upped to your highest bid. And if you're doing this 2, 3, 4 times because you're incrementing things by $1 or by $10, and magically every single time you're consistently getting outbid, it's safe to say you're getting shill bid, because effectively all that's really happening is someone's watching this auction, and then the minute you bid, they're just bumping up to see how far up you'll go. And you could technically do this ad nauseum, and they'll probably keep the shill bidding going. Now, it's different when you bid. There's a couple natural hours of progression, and then maybe a day or so later, you get outbid. That mimics more closely a natural bidding cycle. I'm sitting here, I bid on something. Our favorite solar panel technician is actually, because we live in different time zones, but then when she wakes up and it's morning time, her time, she'll bid and outbid me. So then when I wake up a couple of hours later, I see the notification, and then I might raise the bid. So you can usually tell, because shill bidding tends to be almost automatic or almost automated versus natural bidding, which tends to happen on a more normal, almost human basis. So if you see shill bidding and you see it happening, you should probably report it to eBay. You can do so by reporting the whole auction in its entirety. And then the other thing you can probably do is avoid that, because if for some reason someone is really that pressed, and let's just assume that they're just that pressed and that they're bidding every single time you bid, we're not even going to call them a shill bidder, just a regular bidder. Let's just say there's a lot of competition. And again, part of being a effective bidder on eBay and really working on growing your collection is realizing when you're beat. And in a situation like that, if they're that pressed, you're going to end up paying a premium for that item simply because they are there and they're trying to compete with you. And if they're a shill bidder, not only are you going to pay a premium, you've also been shill bid on top of everything else. So bear that in mind as you try to navigate how you identify these auctions and how you interact with them as well. Finally but not least is sniping and snipers. So sniping is a strategy on eBay where you basically reserve your bids for the last few seconds of an auction. Why would you do this? Because the intention is that you let everybody else play out, everything they want to do. And then you roll in kind of similarly to what I was describing earlier. You roll in at, the last 2 minutes, you see where the price is at, maybe you do a little bit of research, or maybe you already had that done, you see if it's under the last one sold, and then for whatever item it is you're bidding on, you wait till literally the last 10 to 15 seconds and start entering bids. eBay now has a automatic function where you can bid up to a certain dollar amount. So if a current auction is at $1 and I wanted to increase my bid to $5, I could bid up to and including $5. Now the bid will only go up to $2 because that's the next logical increment. However, in the event that someone comes along and tries to bid on my auction, they will have to bid upwards of $5. So if they bid $3, they will be outbid by my automatic bid. So the good news is that eBay does kind of have this functionality, but eBay's not dumb either. This functionality is literally designed to make eBay and the seller more money because, again, if it's inbuilt to the system, it encourages people to continually try to pump money into auctions. And don't forget, that means more money in the seller of the pocket, yes, which is good if you're a seller, but it also means eBay gets a larger number because while the percent they take is the same, the actual dollar amount they're getting is larger. And this particular system was designed with that in mind. So that's something to bear in mind. Now, in order to snipe, there are tons of third-party applications, there are third-party websites. You basically enter in the item ID, your eBay username, and then all it does is put in a bid for you. Now, back in the day, I used to use this stuff. Nowadays, I just wait till the last 10 seconds and, just try to bid something. I also really haven't bid that much on eBay, aside from like small items. So it's not like I'm out here whaling for like huge booster boxes or anything like that. But back in the day when I was whaling for like first edition cards to build my collection, this is something close to a strategy that I would use where I would have sort of a sniping tool ready to go, and then I would insert my bid literally the last possible 3 seconds. Now again, why do you want to do this? Because recall that one of the things you don't want to do is start a bidding war. Bidding wars are really terrible because, again, they cost people money at the end of the day, and the only people they benefit are eBay and the seller. To be an effective buyer, you want to keep prices low. And in order to accomplish that, the easiest and most mechanically simple thing you can do is insert your bids at the last possible moment, because it minimizes the amount of time that any other individual has to react and outbid you. So if I place a bid within the last 2 seconds of an auction, a certain solar panel technician quite literally only has 2 seconds to react. And if she's been outbid, there's a very strong chance that she's not going to be able to react and outbid me, meaning I get away with a little bit of a steal because I avoid starting a bidding war. So those are the 4 different strategies that I go about when it comes to strategic bidding. In theory, all 4 of them kind of wrap up together into one really nice, neat strategy, and the idea is very simple. Keep prices low, minimize the amount of time others have to respond to your bids, and make sure that you're outbidding at a very strategic time to ensure that you still have time to react, while minimizing the amount of time others have to react to being outbid. And of course, as always, you have to avoid and or keep a vigilant eye out for shill bidding, because it really sucks and it means nothing and it's not of value to the community, and all people are trying to do is manipulate you into spending more money for something that you definitely should not be. So, with all that said, friends, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Long story short, keep prices low, keep an eye out, and do your thing. And in theory, over time, with volume and with consistency, this strategy can help you identify tons of cool opportunities. Bear in mind, it's not a one-day thing, so you can't take these, hints, tips, and tricks, go on eBay today, and expect a super dope collection tomorrow. The truth of the matter is, the people who best use eBay to build out their collection and expose themselves to some really cool and unique Pokemon memorabilia are the individuals who are consistently repeating this process over months and years, because any isolated month may be slow or hot, but over a course of years, you not only take advantage of the ebbs and flows of the market, but you also get to take advantage of just the volume of things that may come through, right? So that's something important to consider as well. But as always, friends, thank you again for checking out another video. If you learned anything today about eBay bidding and the tactics that might help you become a better eBay buyer, definitely feel free to leave a like down below on the video. And if you're not already, feel free to join the Gengar Gang to join our happy little community. As always, friends, I appreciate your viewership. You could have been anywhere on the internet, but you chose to spend some time with me, and that means the world. But other than that, thanks again for checking out another video. Happy Thursday, and we will talk soon. Peace.